All right, so let's get shaken on this leg. So, same thing with like the cod piece or the hip piece. I'm starting to now like the idea of calling it a hip piece. Is that we got a little bit more complexity here that we need to figure that out. So again, we're going back to our other references that help us fill in those holes that we're having with, our nMaya reference. And we can see that, we do have this nice roundness that matches up with the hip, and it does extrude down to a blocky foot. So for me, it makes logical sense to start with a cylinder and work our way out. Now to do that, what we want to do is go ahead and create a cylinder. The thing is that remember how we changed the cylinder to be a little bit more low res, which means we took it down from a 20, which is default, down to 16 for this hip piece, especially that part right there. We want to do the same thing with the actual leg part. The reason for that is because since they're really next to each other, it can be somewhat distracting, especially since technically we are still low poly modeling, to have something that is way round next to something that is slightly less round. So to do that, again, we're just going to, with this selected, go to polygon, and we are just going to change our inputs for subdivision axis to 16. All right, now we did that, we want to get to where we're just going to use layman terms and take our piece of slices and match them up with the hip piece right there as well too. So we're just going to turn that 90 degrees. And then what we want to do also is use our snapping. So we don't want to really just be going right here in our front and our side and just guesstimating. There's no need for that. Like I shouldn't be trying to move this and line it up perfectly. Maya allows us to snap. We can use that to kind of get our stuff moved around quickly and get it aligned. So what I'm going to do is hold down D as in dog, V as in Victor, move my pivot to this bottom vert right here, and then I'm going to snap it to the middle vert that's right there. We can't see it, so to help us, we can just go to shading, wireframe on shaded, and then hold down V as in Victor, and middle mouse click and drag over that centerpiece right there. So, and we can double check that it actually went to that centerpiece by looking in our side, and now we can just scale down. All right, so that's looking good. Now, now we just need to get this to the right size. Now we're not going to pay attention to that slope just yet. We can kind of fix that later. But I'm just going to take these verts right here and do the same thing. I'm just going to snap them to where they're aligned up with this hip side. So holding down V, making sure that we're locked in this left and right axis right here. Holding down V, middle mouse click and drag over these verts, and that will line up well there. All right, so now that we did that, now let's kind of look at the shape that we have right here. So there's a couple things that we want to do, which is we need to have this roundness steadily start tapering in, or actually changing form and silhouette to be a little bit more of a blocky structure. So one of the things that we can do to help with that, and I'm kind of seeing that this needs to be scaled up just a hair. So I'm just going to fix that. So just a hair. Yep. And then right click, go to vertex. All right. So now what I want to do is start taking these and just kind of move them off to the side right here so that this lines up and starts flattening out on the back. Now, pay attention. We don't want to just click on a vert, because when we click on a vert like that, it just only selects one. But we're trying to change the entire shape of the silhouette of our cylinder. So we want to use marquee select to make sure that we grab both the front and the back. So we'll just grab the one underneath. So right now we kind of have like the apex of this, the vertex that is the furthest out. We just want to move these to match up. And when we do that, this starts flattening out this back. And I'll just do that with this one as well too. And I'm just going to kind of like move this up just a hair, because I want to do that 1 or 2 more times. And then we're just going to even this out, which is, I'm going to move this over, and I'm going to just snap it flat to where it meets up to that right there. Snap it flat to where that meets up right there. But then I just want to move this to where it meets up with that corner. Just slightly. So by doing that, I now have pretty much this flattened out. No, again, just take these right here, which again is just this part, this bottom part that we straightened out, and just make sure that it's snapped flat with this object right here. So this vert, we can ease that just a hair. But now we're still keeping the same amount of curvature. And then I'm just going to move this back a little bit to the front right here, move that so it's evenly spaced. And then now all that right there allows us to very nicely kind of just bring this down. And again, I just selected those faces. I held down Shift to extrude. Again, if you don't want to use that formula extrude, don't have to. You can use the other 2 different ways. Actually, there's more than 3 different ways to do it. So, and it's all the same extrude. So with that said, we're just going to go and bring that down. And we're just going to bring it down to where it meets the top of the foot. The reason for that is because we want to extrude again. So we're just going to extrude again to the bottom of the foot. The reason why we do that is because now it gives us a nice clean face that will allow us to actually extrude out for our toes. So now that's all looking nice. All right, all that's looking pretty clean, nice and formed. And again, we're just going to go right here and look at both sides. That's all nice and clean. Now that dynamic of it flaring out, let's go ahead and kind of fix that. So what we can do is select the side, and we're just going to, again, make sure that it's lining up nice and clean with that vert right there. And then we're going to hold down D and V. That way we can move it to the very top vert right there, like so. And then we are going to hit E as an egg to be able to just kind of rotate this a little bit. Just so that kind of flares out right there. Just rotate. Just need to make sure that this is still lining up. So right now, like my verts pivot is still kind of like up here. To fix that, we can just hold down D as in dog and then click anywhere off of here. See how my cursor now turns to reset when I hold down D? We click, now it's back to where it needs to be. And we can just kind of realign that. So snap it and lock it to where it is only on the Y-axis, and then we can just hit that middle mouse button over that vert. It aligns back up. All right. So we got that right there. Next thing that we want to do is we need this to be on the opposite side. So we're going to move our pivot to the center of our hip. So we should have still that center line. And this will allow us to kind of flip this over. So we can do this one of a couple ways. I'm going to show the mirror way. So I'm going to go and go to mirror And I'm not going to go into the, just click this. I'm just going to click the option box. When I do, I get this set. And now I can start playing around with some of my options. The first one I want to turn off is combine with original because I want this leg to be separate from the other one. Remember when we mirrored this, it actually merged them together. We don't want that. We want to have our legs separate. So we're going to click that off. And for the most part, we can just leave all that the same. So hit mirror and it should pop over to the other side. Now, if it doesn't, then obviously we have to go right here, play around with bounding box or object or any of those right there. For world, it's working fine. Again, we're just going to double check axis and direction, making sure that it's all in the right location. We don't have to worry about merge because nothing's getting merged. So if we go right here, so front, go back to our front view. So if we go right here, back into our perspective, now we have our two legs when we only had to worry about one. All right. So again, power symmetry, power planning ahead, and model the heck out of one, and that way we can kind of carry it over. All right. That's our leg.